Because the other thing that's going on around the world today is just this explosion in terms of what technology can enable and what technology you have access to. Let's begin by just talking about computing power. Your smartphone in your pocket has more computing power than the space shuttle did when it launched 15, 20 years ago. Okay? That is just computing power in your pocket. When you connect it up to the cloud, the amount of computing power that is available to you to solve your problems is enormous. You're going to hear from our friends at Google soon. You know how much computing power is brought to bear when you type in a search query. There's about 1 billion computers that are crunching through information to give you that result in 0.36 seconds or less. That's computing power at your fingertips. Okay? There's enormous amount of computing power available to you that in the time that it would have taken for you to create that one rendering, today it's possible to create 250,000 options using the computing power that you have at your, available to you today, not tomorrow, today. And people are already taking advantage of all of this. Connectivity. You know, you can be connected from pretty much anywhere in the world today, no matter where you are. And I know, internet does drop, wireless signals are still spotty in some parts of the world, but you know it's getting better. You compare yourself, your experience to where it was a year ago, you can see that no matter where you go, your information, your data can follow you. You don't have to be tied to your office, to your desktop anymore. You can be connected to this cloud, this power, this ability to compute answers no matter where you may be in the world. Now the third thing that has changed, and this thing fascinates me actually, and it's going to sound a little bit orthogonal to the computing power vector. But it is the fact that the way people make things is changing considerably too. And what I mean by that is, one way to understand that is just through the idea of what is called 3D printing. 3D printing is still in its early days, but it's changing the way people make things now dramatically. Okay? Everywhere I go in the world, I hear more and more cases of people who are making products very differently. Certainly, I know people who make prosthetics for people whose legs get amputated using 3D printing because they're able to shape the leg, the hand, the arm in a very personal way and make those things. But it's not just that people can do. 3D printing today can handle 70 material types. Okay? Everything from plastic that you see over there. And if you think that people only do 3D printing of small things, this is a structure built in the desert in California, which is entirely assembled from giant 3D printing subcomponents. The fact that manufacturing, if you think about this macroeconomically, you all now, each one of you or each of your companies has access to manufacturing capacity that it never did before. And it's almost a reversal of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution, when it took place in the 15th century, created these factories. And before the Industrial Revolution, you had people who were craftsmen, and they made plates or forks or knives or vases or any of those things basically in their home. It was the era of the craftsman. The Industrial Revolution came, and then you had to have these giant factories and huge amounts of capital, and business became very capital intensive, very, means of manufacturing was scarce. Now, with things like 3D printing, the whole process is reversing, and people can go back to the era where you can become personal manufacturers at your own scale. But if you think this is just about craftsmen, that's not true. Because people are applying 3D printing to buildings. This is a prototype of a 3D printer that pours concrete, being pioneered at the University of Strathclyde in England. And so you can imagine that they're now applying these techniques to problems and will start to revolutionize the way buildings can be prefabricated or assembled over time and really start to dramatically alter, the way we shape the world around us. So we have big challenges, but there's technology in the form of computing and manufacturing power that's available to you. You all are in the room because 30 years ago, we democratized design software. We tried to bring that to you. What we are on the threshold of, or actually already doing, is the next level of democratization, where the power of cloud computing combined with the power of personal manufacturing will enable even more ways in which technology can make a difference to your lives.